Hello and welcome to today's eMBN Show, where we'll be discussing Honda's all-new prototype eMTB. I'm wondering whether all the innovation is actually with the motorcycle brands. Yes, welcome. Well, we're actually in the old Black Lion in Hay-on-Wye in mid-Wales, and thanks to those guys for putting us up in some fantastic surroundings on the England-Wales border. I'm actually joined by Antoine Taillefer, who's in Versailles in southwest Paris. Now, Antoine is a former enduro and downhill racer. He got the whole shot in the Mountain of Hell in Les Deux Alpes in 2004, 7 times mega avalanche racer. We'll talk about mega avalanche in a minute, shall we, Antoine?
Oh yeah.
actually, talk to him now, because I actually got the whole shot in mega avalanche in the qualifiers in 2005. However, I went the wrong direction, so I had to catch back up on that. But quite a race, right?
Oh yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah. Now, some other details. I'm gonna have to put my glasses on, folks. Now, Antoine is a content creator at LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, and a podcast host of en-roue-libre podcast in French. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, it means free wheel.
Free wheel.
Yeah.
Myself and Antoine have been around all the shows this year, chatting about the different bikes, the different tech that's been on the market. Antoine, I think it's been a really interesting year actually, because we've seen the likes of the motorcycle brands, especially Ducati came out with the Power Stage bike. Gas came out with their recent bikes with the SRAM powertrain system with the removable shrouds. I think they're very cool bikes, quite different in many respects. Would you agree?
Sure. Very different. A lot of different backgrounds and technologies. Some are more, let's say, advanced, and some are more like directly usable for the public. It's very exciting.
And then, of course, we saw from the Japanese show last week, Yamaha came out with that all-new bike, a very interesting design. It had a sort of upwards-facing motor, and it had power steering. It had Kayaba forks and shock on it. I mean, I really liked that bike. I mean, I think it had a point of difference to it, didn't it?
Yeah, it's a very interesting bike. Not sure if the steering thing is a very useful thing, but that's a concept. It's not made for being usable. It's just made for making people think about what we could actually do with a bike. So in that respect, it's a good try.
Yeah, for sure. I think visually it was quite striking as well, wasn't it? I mean, on that subject, let's introduce people to Honda's new prototype or concept e-mountain bike. A very simple design there, Antoine, with it looks like a single pivot to me, and a very simple front triangle. But I think it's very clean. I don't know, what's your thoughts on it from a visual standpoint to start with?
Oh, so what is very interesting is that it's a kind of very simple design, like a swing arm that reminds me of the old mountain cycle San Andreas frames. I think nobody forgot these. So in that respect, it's just a single pivot. We can see the rear swing arm, and it has been designed just as the swing arm from the speed bikes, like the racing bikes. It's the same technology with forged aluminum, but in the front end we don't really know what it is, because I think it's just plastic parts on that frame. So I would like to see what is underneath that, with the Honda logo and everything. But To me, it just looks like a very simple thing.
But it's, it's Honda, Antoine. It's bound to be quality. I mean, let's talk about a couple of things. We can talk about the front triangle in a minute with what material it's made out of. But first of all, just to put viewers at rest, I mean, single pivot bikes have won countless World Cup downhill races and World Championships in the hands of Nico Vullios, Greg Minnaar. Steve Peat won the World Cup Series in 2002, 2004 on a single pivot orange. I mean, it's proven to win if the pivot point and the suspension, the shock absorber is correct. Then obviously, if the geometry is good as well, there's nothing wrong with a single pivot bike, is there?
No, I'm not saying anything about the fact that it's single pivot. It's just the fact that it's a prototype, and I would love to see something a little bit more something a little bit more different from what we already saw.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because Joey, who sat behind the camera here, said exactly the same thing as you. He wasn't blown away by it either.
No, not really. I do. Let's appreciate that. Let's appreciate the fact that those manufacturers, they work on bikes. They display e-mountain bikes, and we can be anything but happy to see that. But I mean, when we see a concept, we just want to see a little bit more than just a frame with plastic thing on it. We just want to dream, the Honda RN0 run at that Minnaar road.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a bike that did ride on World Cup. I can't remember if it won World Cups.
No, it did. Yeah, I was actually there, Antoine, when Greg Minnaar did his first ride on the Honda RN01. It was in a place called Motril in the south of France. Was it late 2003, or maybe it was? I think it was maybe February 2004 actually that he did his first ever race. And I remember there was a man at the top of the hill with an umbrella, and I remember the magazine feature was called La Hombre du Honda or something like that. And it was basically a race down a gully. But yeah, looking back 2004, the RN01 Honda was pretty groundbreaking, wasn't it? Obviously because it had what was everyone thought was an internal gearbox. I mean, it turns out in the end it was actually pretty crude, but in design terms, I thought it was. I mean, that was a very special bike, the RN01, wasn't it?
Yeah, but there was not only the design; it was the fact that you had Showa forks and shocks, which is something that has never been seen before on a mountain bike, and you had the disc brakes. All these kind of Japanese exotic parts that we were like, wow, this is just a brand new bike. And it was just on top of the game. Even if the gearbox was not what we thought it was, but it made us speculate and dream of something like that being sold at some stage. Yeah. And unfortunately, it was never the case.
Unfortunately, it was never the case. Yeah. It was interesting, wasn't it? I mean, Greg used to have 220mm rotors at the time. I think he was one of the first people to use 220mm rotors. He turned up at World Cup races with an army of Showa technicians just looking after his suspension. It was pretty special times, wasn't it?
Sure. It was and even the team was something we never really seen before, the dimension of the team. And I think this is something that we see now with the Specialized Gravity team. But at the time, it was really mind-blowing to see the investment and to see the dimension of this team and all the engineers.
Actually, do you know what? We'll come on to teams in a minute. Just one final thing on the Honda and the motorcycle brands. Do you think that more innovation? We'll see more innovations from the motorcycle brands in the future than maybe the mountain bike brands. Do you think the mountain bike brands are a little bit constrained in their creativity and frame design, or not?
The good rule that those Japanese manufacturers is that they do concepts And so they don't have to sell bikes. They just have to show concepts, which is not the case with the mountain bike brands that we know, because they have to create bikes that sells, and at the moment, how the market goes. So it's very difficult to imagine that mountain bike brands will be more innovative than people that just create concepts and hope that people will like it without considering the sales. So yeah, for the moment, I think that those Japanese, they still have a bit of advance.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also, actually, did you mention to me there was a BMW concept bike which was launched recently as well, wasn't there? So talk us through that then, very, very briefly.
So the BMW released last year a concept called the I Vision AMBY, and this concept is just a vision of what BMW thinks the mobility should be on two wheels in the next future. So it's completely impossible to use that at the moment, because the principle of this bike is that you can ride with it so it detects where you are, so in the city on bike lanes. So it allows you to ride at 25 kilometers an hour on these lanes. And then when you go on roads, it detects that you go on different roads. So it allows you to ride at 45 kilometers per hour.
Wow.
And then the interesting thing is that when you go on like outside the cities, it will detect with geolocalization, geofence, it will detect that, and you will be able to ride at 65 kilometers an hour. But
wow, that's crazy.
But that's on the paper. On the reality is that it's very difficult to define with a great accuracy where you are exactly, and so it's very difficult to imagine that you will be riding on in the streets and ride only at 25 kilometers an hour instead of 45 or 65. But that's what I like personally with concept is, okay, that raises a lot of questions. Like, is it doable? Maybe not, but is it interesting to consider this? Yes, of course. So this is what I like with that.
Wow, yeah, I like the sound of that. So did you ride an e-mountain bike around Paris?
Yeah.
You do?
I love it.
Wow.
But not only, but I love e-mountain bikes. So.
Wow, Antoine, thanks so much for some fantastic insight there.
Thank you for having me.
No, it's great. Hopefully we can catch up in the weeks ahead. I mean, I don't know whether I'll be in a pub next time, but what's been your highlight of the year so far?
My highlight of the year? Well, I would say the Rock d'Azur is in France is quite unique and very interesting show. There is Riva at the beginning of the season in Italy, in Lake Garda, and at the end of the season, Rock d'Azur is definitely a very good event to be.
And also a very beautiful place to go and visit. Actually, on our return from Rock d'Azur this year, we stopped off at Estrella, is it? Estoril? Big red rocks of Estoril. Wow, what a place.
Oh, yeah.
Antoine, thanks so much. And hopefully we can catch up. Hopefully we can catch up in the next few weeks to talk about some new innovations.
Excellent. I'll be there.
Wow, some interesting chat there with Antoine Taillefer from Versailles in southwest Paris. Time now, folks, to move on to cool places. We're in a cool place. We're in the Old Black Lion in en-roue-libre, heading up for mid-Wales. First up is a photograph which we don't actually know where it is because there's no details on this. I mean, come on, but... Joey, I'm going to guess this one. I would say that's going to be. It looks kind of Norwegian to me, or maybe Finnish, but we don't get many Finnish. I'm going to go with Norway, but it could actually be Alaska. But anyway, that's my thoughts. Going to move on to the next shot, which is actually from Piatra, the Craystone Mountains in Brasov, Romania. And what a lovely dog there as well. And nice bit of fencing. Check this out, folks. This is in Sagres, Portugal. Do you know what Sagres is famous for, Joey?
No.
Nice drop of beer, maybe? Surely you've had a Sagres, haven't you? This is Stuart on his Decathlon Big Mountain. I mean, that's a beautiful bit of coastline there. And this is a bit of a nice, beautiful mountain backdrop from Blacktail Point in Montana with Walter, 2023 Giant Rain. I didn't even need to look at the description of this. This is the gap. This is the gap in the Brecon Beacons. Now, just to give you an idea where we are, we're actually in the eastern Brecon Beacons. So we're probably around, I reckon we're probably about 2 hours bike ride from this location. Joey actually asked me a couple of hours ago. And then closing things up are some beautiful mountains at Jotunheimen in Norway. This is Ken exploring with a kid seat and some panniers. It's Joey, go on then, break it to me. Where was the first shot?
Oh, it is.
Go on.
Norway.
Yes! Well, I'd love to go to Norway one day. Folks, thanks so much. Those are beautiful shots from different places around the world. And, as ever, they maybe give all of us a little bit of a boot to maybe go out adventuring on our e-mountain bike. So thanks again for that. Alrighty, it's time now for comments and feedback from you guys. Now, we actually featured the Yamaha prototype concept bike a few weeks ago on the channel, and we've got a few comments here from you guys. First of all, we've got this one, which is actually in relation to what kind of trips or what kind of videos you'd like to see on eMBN. This one's from Carl Meader, who says, my favourite videos are the adventure trips like the Steve and Toddy one. Keep up the good work. This is a genuine comment which was on the show a couple of weeks ago. So me and Doddy, well, actually Doddy stayed here with Phil. I actually, true story, stayed in the field with the sheep. And so it was a video called 5-Star versus Roughing It, quite a few years ago, but it's nice to be back in the old Black Lion, that's for sure. Next up is Buddy Lee, who says the new Yamaha e-mountain bike looks badass. Curious of cost, obviously it's prototypes, you won't get that. Richard's video is interesting here, and Steve, he doesn't like the Moto gearbox bikes yet. I'd like to hear his opinion on the bikes at Eurobike this year, which had them, the pinion system, which looked like a winner. Yes, absolutely, it did look like a winner. We've seen many chats about the pinion MGU, but my take on it at the moment, very concisely, is I'm not going to make any comment on it until I've actually ridden it in some proper, dirty, muddy, wet conditions to see what it's like in a mountain bike environment. We've seen them on city bikes, we've seen them on cargo bikes. So like I said, let's get to see what it's like out in the difficult conditions. Ash Punting, I agree with Steve because I have 3 e-bikes. Now this is in relation to somebody wanting to know what my favorite e-mountain bike is, and my comment was actually I love riding all e-mountain bikes, and that I still stick by that. I mean, I could fine-tune it into maybe some specific ones for different conditions, but in terms of the experience that I get out in the hills or on trail centres, I genuinely love coming to terms with the different motors, the different geometries, and trying to work out what's best for them. I mean, I ride motorcycles, so I like riding like 125s, 250s, 500s, 300s. They all require a different sort of technique to get the most of them. So yes, I stick by that. And so does Ash Punting. And finally, B Franco, KYB MTB suspension. Yes, please. Wish Showa would build MTB suspension again. I think we're blessed with suspension on mountain bikes. We saw the likes of Boss, fantastic units, EXT, Olin's came into the market recently. Well, not so recently, probably 10 years ago. And then, of course, recently we saw WP on the gas bikes out in France. So thanks, folks, for your comments. Very interesting. Keep them coming, and hopefully we can tackle more next week. Okay, bike vault time. As you can see, I've got my lime soda. Joey's, I can see why Joey's urgently wants us to get things done, because his pint is empty. Right, let's get through this. Bike vault first time, we got Decathlon Stylus V1 from Joe in Winlat Pass. I think that is a super nice. So what can I do? Something like that, is that okay? I'll tinkle the straw. Super nice. Next up is Carl's got Patron E-Ride in Rutland. Carl, I think that chair in the background's a bit cronky, so maybe that's a nice shot. Super nice shot here. Yannick's decoy. Probably not doing it. I'm sorry about the straw. Maybe I'll leave the straw. This is in the Jura, folks. If you've not seen our video on the Santa Cruz and the Jura Mountains, check it out. It's a stunning place for riding and also eating Comté cheese. Beautiful shot here. This is super nice from Bidwell Park. This is Rally, Turbo Levo Comp. Super nice for sure. Thanks again, folks, for sending in your Bike Vault submissions. Keep them coming and we can give them the pasting in the Bike Vault. I'll have a pint of beer, please, Joey. And that's it from the Old Black Lion in Hay-on-Wye. Many thanks to our host for some fantastic hospitality. Me and Joey are about to go and have steak and chips or whatever Joey's deciding to have. Coming up on the channel this week, actually, are 2 videos which we've shot in the hills around Hay-on-Wye. The first one is an in-depth look at Bosch's new performance line SX motor, which we actually rode in the M1 Sport Technic enduro bike, 160, 170 mil travel, 20 kilos, a fantastic bike, really good looking. So lots and lots to talk about there. First of all, you know, the Bosch SX motor is sat firmly in between light assist and full power. So it can do a little bit of what the light assist bikes can do, and it can do a little bit about what the full power bikes can do. So that's coming up on the channel on Friday and Saturday, and we'll see you next week. Probably won't be in a pub, but we'll see you then.